There are some places in the world where you hope to see positive developments, talk about progress, relief, and hope. But the more you learn about their history, failed attempts of their inhabitants to thrive as a functional society, and study their most likely difficult future, the only chance you get is to follow the effort of some, hoping that their work marks the beginning of change. Such a place is Haiti. Haiti is known for its people, its traditions, and artistic expressions, which crisscross between themes of a bright future far away from reality and eternal pain. And there are the devastating natural disasters and widespread poverty reflected by the media as long as our attention span permits. Little is known about the disaster looming on the horizon in Haiti, the land of mountains. Haiti occupies the western third of the island Hispaniola. Its only neighbor is the Dominican Republic. Most of its territory, which is almost equal in size to the state of Massachusetts, consists of mountain chains reaching impressive heights of 8,800 feet. They are among the highest mountains of the North and South American East Coast. Being an island for about 80 million years, with a tropical climate and extensive rainfall, as well as high and low elevations, were favorable conditions for the development of an extraordinary diversity of plant and animal life on Hispaniola. About 6,000 plant species and hundreds of reptiles and amphibians on this tropical island are known to science. As diverse nature developed and displayed itself during millions of years of evolution, extinction was always part of the process, caused by geological upheaval, catastrophic tsunamis, and the Ice Age. Species were eliminated and new ones arose. Events have changed. Today, globally, humans are primarily responsible for the loss of biodiversity, resulting in the massive extinction of species. And Haiti is on the top of the list of affected countries. It is long overdue to face Haiti's real tragedy, the loss of its natural heritage and its possible, or even most likely, loss of future. For many decades, indiscriminate deforestation has been and continues to be one of the main threats to biodiversity. But when natural forests shrink to levels found today in Haiti, the threat becomes a disaster. In 1940, 30% of Haiti's land was still covered by forests. Numbers dropped to 10% by 1970. Natural forests cover today less than 2% of Haiti's territory. Rivers and creeks disappeared forever. Massive amounts of waters fill up the dry riverbeds only during rainy seasons. Floodwaters carry unprotected fertile soil used only for a short time to nurture beans and other crops in the mountains to the ocean, leaving behind destruction and broad highways of rocks and stones. With a population of 10 million and a demographic growth of more than 2%, lack of infrastructure, no sustainable agriculture, as well as a growing need for cheap energy sources, traditionally charcoal, a positive outlook becomes almost impossible for the western part of Hispaniola. Many have given up on Haiti. Too little, too late, they say. Most would agree if there weren't those who still believe in a future for Haiti, if there weren't scientists and professionals who act and do everything possible to know the extent of Haiti's surviving biodiversity, trying to save as much as possible, as soon as possible, the environment of Haiti would cease to exist. A leader of those who believe in Haiti's future is Philippe Bayard, president of the Société de Audubon d'Haïti, the Haitian Audubon Society.
Audubon Society Haiti is a non-profit organization created in 2003 with the mission of conserving the biodiversity of natural ecosystems of Haiti and its satellite island. The society was created by Haitians that are conscious of the need to conserve because of the vast degradation that we can observe in Haiti.
A leader of the science community actively helping to explore and save Haiti's biodiversity is Professor Dr. Blair Hedges, an evolutionary biologist of Penn State University who is dedicated to the study of Caribbean reptiles and amphibians.
In Haiti, many species are threatened with extinction, about 85% of the frogs. And this is a serious problem because very soon some of these species will go extinct, and probably in large numbers. And essentially, it could be a mass extinction event.
Working together, they initiated an action plan to evaluate the current state of Haiti's reptiles and amphibians with the cooperation of the Haitian government. Over the period of 3 years, a research team traveled to the remaining tropical forests of Haiti by car, foot, boat, and helicopter to discover new species, rediscover lost ones, and launch an ambitious project to save the most endangered ones. Thanks to updated satellite data, Blair Hedges previously selected several areas for research that had original forest patches left. These patches could still support a considerable biodiversity. Some areas had never been visited by researchers before, and thus they were unknown to science. 3 biological hotspots are at the top of the list. The Massif de la Haute, a mountain range at the tip of the Tiburon Peninsula, the Massif de la Selle mountain range, and La Gonâve Island, which was the first to be visited. The expedition team departs from the capital Port-au-Prince, heading northwest in order to cross the St. Marc Channel toward Onsagalé, the port of La Gonâve Island. The coastline on the mainland seems almost idyllic. Though not far from the city, life takes a different pace, a reminder of the once popular tourist destination Haiti was. In the morning, the boat is ready for takeoff, with 5 team members and a cameraman on board. Einar Madsen, member of the Haitian Audubon Society, Professor Dr. Blair Hedges, Dominican naturalist and photographer Miguel Landestoy, Dr. Robin Moore, amphibian conservation specialist, and resource ecologist Joel Timian. The team arrives at La Gonâve, which encompasses 340 square miles and is home to 80,000 inhabitants. Most goods arrive by boat. Their transport to stores and warehouses is organized. Soon enough, the main export commodity of the island becomes visible: charcoal. Ferries leave daily to the mainland. The charcoal is being sold in Port-au-Prince, where the best prices can be obtained. Onsagalé is the largest town of the island, with few vehicles, no paved roads, and people waiting patiently to fill their buckets with water from public wells. Garbage piles litter the outskirts of the town. Local money circulates as everyone tries to sell something, from charcoal to chicken. After a short stop at the hotel, the crew decides to take off immediately to explore the north coast of the island in search of habitats and reptiles. The dirt road leads to an improvised shipyard, where work continues as soon as wood arrives from the mainland. Large wooden beams to finish the boats are rare. The adjacent charcoal production is the best example of the size of the trees and bushes available in the area. But still, in Port-au-Prince, millions of people are waiting for the shipments. The size or efficiency of the charcoal is of no importance. Meals have to be cooked. The team passes a batch of coconut palms and decides to have a closer look. The coconut trash piles are ideal for reptiles. They provide moisture, cooler temperatures, and insects are abundant as a food source. And soon enough, the team is successful.
This is an adult Hypsorhynchus, blue tongue. It was just coiled up underneath the dead coconuts and palms, and beautiful animal. They eat lizards mostly, rear-fanged. Very nice. I haven't seen any Sphirodactylus yet. This is curtici. It's an anguid lizard, and they look like skinks, but they're not. They're called gallywasps. And this species is it occurs in dry areas in Hispaniola, only on Hispaniola. And they get a little bit bigger than this, but this is kind of typical habitat. Oh, snake! I think. Pull it, yeah, pull this up. Ow!
Is that it?
No. Oh, yeah. It's Antilochus. Yeah.
Oh, it's a mine here. Lizard.
So, you found another lizard?
No. Herb mine.
Yeah. So this is Hypsorhynchus parviprons. It's another species of snake. A little ant stung me there, but that's okay. And this is a juvenile. We got an adult. Good job.
Thanks to show more stuff.
Excellent. So this is an adult of the other one that we got before. It's a Hypsorhynchus parviprons, another type of racer. So these are diurnal snakes, and makes sense that they're active daytime here.
The randomly chosen site next to mangrove forests continues to surprise.
So this is Sphirodactylus. We're not sure what it is. Yeah, I don't know. And it's in this around this palm tree and palm trash. It could be an adult or a subadult. They don't get much bigger than this. And we saw eggs when we came in here. And here we found something that came out of the eggs. Very interesting. So we'll figure out later what it is. Could be something new. 5 pounds of plastic for 20.
The joy of the team having encountered more than expected changed quickly as the journey continued, passing charcoal producers. They wait in piles of garbage, which has been washed ashore by the currents from Port-au-Prince, finding occasionally a new purpose. The team continues in the morning, traveling towards the interior of the island. Here, elevations rise up to 2,500 feet. The dirt road passes the few productive plains of the island. The task of the day is to find isolated, humid areas. Shortly after, the team is able to follow a trail into a small canyon used by peasants to get fresh water. As usual, the team catches a lot of attention, and people follow the group to be a part of the action. The sight is surprising. The rising transparent water offers a completely different view of this mostly arid island. The team starts its work, and a snake is again the first animal to be encountered, a Hispaniolan hog-nosed racer.
This snake I'm photographing is Hypsorhynchus ferox, a dry-adapted species in Hispaniola, known from Gonave already, and it's here in the afternoon, late afternoon, about 4 o'clock or so, 4:30, just kind of resting next to a ravine, maybe waiting for some food item to come by, which would be a lizard like an anolis we just saw, and I'm going to collect it right now. It's a rear-fanged snake. The poison would be very mild, and it would have to bite me at a special place, like right between there, to really inject any venom. So it's not really a dangerous species, but very pretty. What they often do is they release some musk, which has an odor that might cause a predator to release it. But anyway, so that's Hypsorhynchus ferox. And this is a young one. Adults get 2 or 3 feet long. But you see, he's not even trying to bite.
The search continues, and this time a lesser sharp-nosed tree snake shows its beauty, although the observing crowd is not totally convinced.
Uromacer frenatus, right?
Yeah, that's it. Brown with a green head. And you can see it's not even trying to bite. It's actually quite docile. But you can see also how the behavior of the snake mimics a true vine, because it's moving. It's either keeping its head real stiff, or it's like right now it's moving it like a vine would move with the wind.
Crossing the hillside, the team is lucky to find a variety of small reptiles, led by the long-tailed desert grass anole, a dwarf gecko, the very special Gonave curlytail, and, well, nobody knows yet, a lizard new to science, which confirms that Haiti's wildlife still keeps some secrets. The dirt road leads to the west coast of La Gonave, to Pointe-la-Raquette. Although it ranks as the second largest town of the island, it is by far not as busy as Onsa-Galais. The town is idyllic. A flock of Hispaniola's palm chat enjoy the abundance of fruits. Photos are taken since La Gonave is home of a unique subspecies. The expedition ends better than expected, but it is clear that action is needed to stop the destruction of the few habitats left for the wildlife of Gonave. While departing, everybody remembers the words of Einar Madsen, member of the Haitian Audubon Society.
My family has been in the coffee business for over 100 years, and it has saddened me to see the degradation of nature in Haiti, especially the trees and the forest. There are people that have been used for generations and generations to cut trees, but we have reached a point right now in the country where we have to do something about it. We are getting almost, if we don't do anything, we will reach the state of desertification very soon.
When you come here and you see it firsthand, you see the actual trees being cut and complete areas that are denuded of vegetation. Looks like a lunar landscape, and it really drives home the point that these species are gone forever when this happens. And so for me, it's a very real thing, because I'm seeing it all the time. Every time I come here, the forests are fewer and fewer. And so I know that as the time is running out to save the biodiversity.
Professor Dr. Blair Hedges and resource ecologist Joel Timian are Haiti specialists. Both initiated their work in Haiti 3 decades ago, first dedicated to scientific research, second to natural resource management. And both know that La Gonave was an easy expedition. That will change with the next research site, the Massif de la Haute, which is the most important stronghold of Haiti's biodiversity. The Massif de la Haute is an isolated mountain range in the extreme southwest of the country. 2.5 million years ago, the mountain range was still separated from the country by a wide sea channel. Due to this separation, part of the plant and animal life evolved differently, and the distribution of many species is limited to these mountains. The Peak Macaya is the highest mountain in the Massif de la Haute, rising to a peak level of 7,700 feet. It is part of the Macaya National Park. The team heads to Les Cayes to continue from here to the Macaya National Park. Les Cayes is the birthplace of the famous ornithologist and naturalist John James Audubon. The town and its surrounding rural area is a quiet, sleepy region. Life seems easier here. The infrastructure has been improved, but the relief to see propane gas tanks used for cooking disappears rapidly, as charcoal dealers are spotted again waiting patiently for the trucks to transport the merchandise to the capital. Joel finds out for the team where the charcoal is coming from.
Randel, ou bien Grand Plaine.
Yo sorti Andé, yo sorti Randel, yo sorti Joranger.
Macaya même?
Oui, yo sorti tout là.
Yeah, these are all coming out from the southern watersheds of Macaya. Huh?
The team crosses the Rivière de la Coule, which still carries considerable amounts of water year-round. Roads turn into trails, and flat tires become an expected part of the journey. The wide trail is used by local peasants to carry their goods from cultivated land, called gardens in Haiti. Women are on their way to the market, the most important economic activity. In regards to product diversity, any Haitian market may easily compete with a shopping mall. From fresh fruits and vegetables, bakery goods, to hygiene products and lottery tickets, it's all there. And of course, in a separate space, there is the omnipresent charcoal market.
So this is 20 US, about 20 US. So this is an example of a middleman that will buy it and then sell it in Kai. Kote ou abvan sayo? Kote ou abvan sayo? Huh? Oh, he's going to sell this at a location where we crossed the river. Remember when we crossed the river yesterday? It's about, I think, 10 kilometers as the crow flies from here. That's where he's going to resell it. And that's where the trucks come and pick it up for transport to Port-au-Prince and Kai.
After 10 hours, the team arrives at the small village of Kai Michel, which offers a spectacular view of the Macaya National Park. The forest is still a day's walk away. This time, the expedition has an additional objective other than looking for new species and trying to locate species that haven't been seen for decades.
I'm collecting species of frogs that are endangered and critically endangered to bring back alive for captive breeding, which is a type of insurance policy in the sense that in the future, if the forests do come back, then we can reintroduce these frogs into their habitat.
To achieve that goal, the Philadelphia Zoo teams up with Professor Dr. Blair Hedges and sends the zoo's amphibian conservation specialist, Dr. Carlos Martinez Rivera.
Part of my job will be to take amphibians that are endangered here in Haiti and bring them to the Philadelphia Zoo and create captive assurance colonies for those species to make sure they don't go extinct. And in the event that they do become extinct here in the wild, we'll have those frogs still at the zoo in Philadelphia, and they can be brought back here.
After a long and strenuous steep hike, the team arrives at Pic Le Ciel at around 6,000 feet altitude.
Guides carrying stuff for the 7 of us with 16 or 17 people or so, and so we set up camp and we're going to organize our collecting and photographing.
Here, mixed clouds and pine forests offer an excellent habitat for Haiti's endangered highland frogs. The search for species begins after sunset.
think
Wait for it to
if I
pull
see,
again?
no, well, if you want, we could, but I'm pretty sure it's right down in there. Let's try. Let's see what happens. I would say it's right there. Oh, I can feel him. I pushed into the hole. I can feel him with my fingers, and I'm keeping him from hopping out. He's calling from a burrow, and I'll move my hands around so you can see. But see his head?
Look at those eyes.
Cute. Pretty frog. And look at the orange. Wow. That is gorgeous. So they have this snout that's very pointed in its cornified skin, and it helps to burrow in the dirt.
Like a little scalpel.
Yeah. Very nice. Look at those legs, man. So we don't know what this is yet. This is neat.
The four limbs are kind of yellows.
It's got big. There's another individual calling there. This is quite interesting. Very interesting. I don't know what it is.
In the morning, the team is able to appreciate the amazing cloud forests of this mountain range. Close to 1,000 different plant species are known from the Makaya National Park. The abundance of animal species is equally astonishing. The Massif de la Haute is the site with the most number of frog species in the Caribbean restricted to one area. It is one of the most important centers of Caribbean biodiversity. The distribution of these frogs is extremely limited, and even minor disturbances in the area may cause immediate extinction. The team is successful. In only 2 nights, 23 frog species are found, 6 of which hadn't been seen in 19 years. Some rediscovered frogs were previously only known from a few specimens. One of the smallest frogs, the Makaya breast spot frog, is also rediscovered. The team collects individuals from 9 critically endangered species for the captive breeding program at the Philadelphia Zoo. The cloud forests of the Makaya National Park are not only habitat for a high diversity of endemic amphibians, but also they are known as one of the last remaining habitats of Haiti's tame and beautiful national bird, the Hispaniolan trogon, and other unique birds like the Hispaniolan parrot and the ashy-faced owl. But for how long will these national treasures have sufficient habitat to survive? A park guard who accompanies the team confirms the threat to Makaya National Park and its surrounding areas.
Okay, they don't have general tools, including boots and special equipment in order to get around the rough terrain. And I'd like to point out that he told me earlier that they are 10, and there's an estimate that there are over 200 units inside the park that are cutting wood, either for charcoal or for lumber. And so they're understaffed, under-resourced, and they're outnumbered, basically.
Facing Haiti's reality, even here in the most remote mountains, the questions arise. How many species are still unknown on these mountaintops and need equal attention? And how long would it take to reach each one of these places, considering the lack of access and extremely steep slopes? Only a helicopter can provide a faster access, which would take the team from peak to peak of the Massif de la Haute.
Hope we all make it, one way or the other. Okay.
The team quickly establishes a base at the offshore island Isla Vache, located south of the Massif de la Haute, and hires the experienced Dominican Air Force pilot Jesus Mendez to shuttle the team to the surrounding peaks of the Macaya: Grande Colline, Mont de Benière, Mont Lizard, Grand Bois, Deux Mamelles, Tête Boeuf, Mont Manzit, Mont Pengal, and Mont Bellevue. The bird's-eye view of the mountain range confirms that most of the remaining forests are only found on the extreme mountain peaks or on the very steep hillsides. Jesus drops the team as close as possible to promising forests. Since weather conditions change quickly in these mountains, last-minute coordination is made at each drop before Jesus returns to base.
We use helicopters. We have to really to reach these places where we're standing right now. This is about 1,500 meters elevation, but it's very difficult hiking, and this is where the last forests are, so it might take a week to do a trip just to this one mountain, whereas we can do it in 24 hours using a helicopter. And the Audubon Society collaborates with us on all these activities.
A routine is rapidly established. Prepare the campsite, evaluate species found during the previous night, rest a few hours, start hiking to the forest before it gets dark, and finally search for sleeping lizards or active frogs during the night. The search continues.
Amazingly, we made it up before it got dark, and nobody's ever collected up here before, no biologists, as far as I know. You can find them, yeah, it's like automated deal. So there's the dewlap, it displays to other males and also to females. Ow! 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 Oh! Oh! God, that is very painful. Oh! Don't say anything to him. He'll squeeze harder. Ow! Oh! Let go, please. Oh! Man, that hurts. Look at that.
Oh!
But usually they're brightly colored. It's just this one is kind of palish. It's unusually blah.
The team is lucky and locates a very special lizard.
You got it? What a beauty. Whoa.
Oh my God.
This is perfect for them. Here. Wow, look at the prehensile tail.
That's it. That's
wow.
it. Whoa. So this is a twig giant anole of Hispaniola called Anolis darlingtoni. It was described in the 30s, named after Darlington, a Harvard professor. Wasn't found again until the mid-80s, and then and people have looked since then, and here it is rediscovered in a very different place. This is fantastic. Very rare lizard.
To locate some species, the team uses a voice recorder to record and reproduce calls, provoking the frog to answer.
Yeah, that's him, yeah. Oh, oh. Got him?
Yeah. Completely. The whole animal.
So that's him. The guy who was singing. And you can see the vocal sac is a different color, kind of a yellowish brown. Very pretty belly with a straight line, kind of a dotted line there. Stocky frog, and you can tell by the shape of the frog that it must live on the ground and probably in a burrow like we just found. So this was underground. It was very hard to find because it was literally underground, about an inch or so. We don't know what it is, but it's very closely related to ventrilineatus, which is in a mountain range near here.
In the morning, the team is ready to get picked up. The next mountaintop is Grand Bois. Jesus refuels the helicopter on site while the team starts to build the camp, and local farmers cannot believe what they see. The cloud forest on Grand Bois is equally diverse, well preserved, and should hide surprises for the team. At the forest edge, a gray-crowned palm tanager enjoys the abundance of fruits and insects. This tanager is found exclusively in the western part of the Tiburon Peninsula and is Haiti's sole endemic bird. Part of the team decides to look early for reptiles and insects in the thick mountainous forest, while Joël prepares a collection of plants with members of the Haitian Audubon Society, Anderson Jean, and ecologist Jean-Marie Laurent.
We made a collection of plants, both to cryobank and to store at the herbarium at the University of Florida. And it's a selection of plants that represent all the life forms in the plant family in the forest. We don't have the equipment to dry the plants for the herbarium specimens, so we're sprinkling 70% ethanol on the plants to stop the degradation process. Where we're starting a project to begin identifying the last natural areas of Haiti that are potential areas that would be selected for protected area. And the government of Haiti has an agency, national agency for protected area, and they have asked us to begin selecting areas that would be on that map.
Most likely, Mont Grand Bois will be on that map, not only because of its plant diversity, but also because of this little critically endangered Tiburon stream frog, rediscovered on this expedition. The frog had not been observed for 28 years. The search continues during night hours.
Ouch! This is big.
Miguel spots and catches what first seemed to be the widely distributed Hispaniolan giant tree frog.
Very spiny. They have glands in the skin that release a substance that is somewhat toxic, and if you rub it in your eyes, you can be temporarily blinded.
Further studies in coming weeks determine that this frog is different and will most likely become a new species. The team carries on exploring the mountaintops of the Massif de la Haute. Long hikes are often necessary to find adequate habitats, but even heavily disturbed areas are still suitable for unknown animals.
Got him. Cool. I don't know what this is. It's a bluish gray snake.
The team splits to maximize the search. While Dr. Blair Hedges chooses to explore the giant tree fern forest, which is an ideal habitat for frogs and lizards, Miguel has encountered traces of one of the rarest mammals on Earth, the Hispaniolan solenodon.
This seems to be the cavity or the foraging hole left by the solenodon when they forage. Use the snout and the claws to dig on the soil and the leaf litter. So they usually leave this conical print. So as a reference, this is my hand.
The nocturnal Hispaniolan solenodon is one of the 2 remaining endemic land mammals on Hispaniola. It resembles a scruffy, overgrown shrew, even though it is not related to shrews. The ancestors of this insectivore separated from all other living mammal groups an incredible 76 million years ago, and fossil evidence shows that they were once in existence in North America. The solenodon is a distinctive mammal, capable of secreting toxic saliva, making it one of only a handful of venomous mammals. For decades now, it has faced real and immediate threats to its survival. Besides losing its habitat, it is poorly equipped to defend itself against introduced predators like wild dogs, cats, and the Indian mongoose.
Interesting. So we're also looking for sleeping anoles in the twigs up above. There's some often some rare species that sleep high up in twigs. This is it. Remember what I told you about the red dewlap, the orange dewlap anole? Guess what? So this is a male of a new species that we found at Grand Bois and didn't realize it 2 years ago. And here it is alive at another locality not too far away, 10 kilometers away. Brand new species to science. This is a big find right now, just about 3 minutes ago.
After many expeditions covering almost every remaining forest of this mountain range, the knowledge of Haiti's biodiversity has made a significant step forward. Discoveries and rediscoveries of reptiles and frogs were made on each mountain, sometimes to extremes rarely observed.
We came up here to Morin-Pangal this morning, and we looked around the forest and the valley, and found a number of frog species and lizard species, and pretty much all of which were new to science.
A great amount of time and effort is still needed to know more about the rare and unique reptiles and frogs of the Massif de la Haute and other places in Haiti, their distribution, habits, and chance of survival. The results of the expeditions include the discovery of probably 40 to 50 new species, an astonishing number, especially for vertebrates. This confirms even more the importance of these mountains as one of the most relevant hotspots for the Caribbean biodiversity. Amphibians play an important role in the ecosystem. They help to control the proliferation of insects, create organic matter for plants to grow, and are an important food source for other animals. Frog populations have been declining worldwide at unprecedented rates, and nearly 1/3 of the world's amphibian species are threatened with extinction. With almost 90%, Haiti has the highest percentage of threatened frog species of any country in the world. The complete deforestation of a single mountaintop may wipe out several species at once. Immediate action to protect Haiti's remaining natural forests has to become a priority. The team returns to the most valuable forests, this time in the company of Philippe Bayard of the Haitian Audubon Society, which is considered the most influential environmental organization in Haiti. Philippe wants to get a first-hand view of the research sites and evaluate the situation of local communities surrounding the forests. The team follows a trail and soon encounters a group of people arriving from the market. Their 3-hour hike takes them across the forest.
This is a primary forest, very well preserved, but yet endangered because the people live of it and they claim it's theirs. And there is no other alternative than agriculture because it's highland. And we could see on the other side what happened when they cut the trees. They burned the land and to grow, they claim peas and sweet potato and malanga, which is fine. They need some way to live they should do some agriculture or some activity so that allows them to go to meet their obligation. But somehow we cannot allow this forest to disappear. The objective of this, what we're doing now, first, is to know what's there and their distribution. We've been carrying this investigation for the last 3 years, and it's been very successful in the results of what exists in this area. Now we have to find solution to preserve it. That's a little bit more challenging. So I believe that the only way is to try to a mechanism for land purchase. It happens other places in the world. We may participate, facilitate, promote, and sensitize people so we can find funding for that. But we have partners that could be interested to participate in such a venture.
Pour nous demander situation, qui ça nous aime là, qui travaille pour nous faire, pour nous faire là.
Okay.
Oui, c'est ça que nous disons de côté nègre là.
Okay. He comes from a place by the name of Mont Ouvrier, which is about 3 hours away from here. And he's coming up here to change his animals. And he has 2 sheep and 3 goats.
While efforts continue to find an effective method to preserve Haiti's natural forest, Dr. Blair Hedges is back in his laboratory at Penn State University. New species are compared and described, and DNA sequences of encountered animals analyzed.
What I have on the screen are DNA sequences of about 1,000 frogs from Haiti. These are kind of like barcodes, like you would have in a supermarket, because what they do is it's information about a species that tells us whether it's a unique species or whether it's the same species. Here you can see in the middle group of individuals that clearly is different. This group is different from the one below it and different from the ones above and below those. So this is really good information. It tells us how to distinguish two species, whether we have new species or not, and it gives us a basic count of the biodiversity in a region, and so for that reason it's very useful for conservation.
In addition, Dr. Hedges installed cryobanking tanks, where frog cells are frozen to avoid a potential total loss of species in the wild.
So this is a cryobank of about 1,000 samples of vertebrates, mainly amphibians and reptiles, collected in Haiti, and it's a backup plan for the conservation of the species. You know, the most important plan for conservation is really protection in national parks and forest protected areas, what we call in situ, in place. But what this is a Plan C. There's Plan B would be breeding in zoos. This is Plan C, cryobanking. This is where we freeze cells for hundreds of years, essentially indefinitely, in a kind of suspended animation where the cells are not changing, they're not degrading, and the DNA, the genome of the organism, the information that codes for everything in the organism is extracted later, put inside a cell of a living organism, and cloned back to life, essentially. A species basically brought back to life, revived. This way we can store the entire biodiversity of a country in liquid nitrogen at minus 200 degrees centigrade, essentially forever, and it's very inexpensive to do this.
In the meantime, a delegation from the Haitian government visits the Philadelphia Zoo to coordinate further action and observe the breeding program for critically endangered frog species. Around 150 frogs of 9 different species were brought to the zoo.
Altogether, it was around 150, 154. And they have been producing very well. We have over 1,400 now. And what I'm doing now is putting some of the older kids together to make room for the newer babies that I have to pull out the cages. And also what I do, I mist the cages 2 or 3 times a week. And once I mist, they usually make the frogs active and they come out. And when they come out, if it's babies in there, the babies will come out. So what I do, then I put a tag on that cage to tell me that it's babies in there until I can take the babies out. So I know when I feed the adults, I have to feed the babies also.
This is our signature project for amphibians for the Philadelphia Zoo for sure. I think this is probably the biggest sort of rescue conservation effort for amphibians we've done in quite some time. So the HVAC system, the heating and ventilation, that keeps that area in the, say, 60, 65 degree range. So keeping that space at that temperature is critical to the habitat of them because they're from a high elevation. Having the drainage in the false bottom exhibits, having the mister system in there, that keeps the humidity going, that keeps, that's also like the natural environment. That's sort of how we recreate the natural environment. Misting, the raining, humidity, barometric pressure, all those factors are what trigger the breeding. And so far, so good.
For us, Haiti has a couple of components. One, we had developed a partnership with Dr. Blair Hedges at Penn State University, actually somebody I went to graduate school with, and by happenstance learned of his work in Haiti, and he looked to us as a potential partner in his project to be the recipient of frogs that he was going to collect and to try to create these breeding programs. At the same time, Haiti is a place that you do have to worry about, are these last bits of habitat going to disappear and are we going to lose species? And is there a need to have an ARC type situation for at least the short-term answer? We hope it's short-term and not permanent, and that eventually we're able to move animals back into wild habitats. But you'd sure hate to lose the opportunity to have an insurance population while you have the chance.
What I've seen today is the result of 2.5 years of collaboration that started between Audubon Society Haiti and Penn State with the support of the Philadelphia Philly Zoo. And it is very conclusive to see the successful breeding of the frogs. So we hope this is the start of a long-term collaboration for the reintroduction, if ever it's needed, of these species back to Haiti.
The future will tell if these steps will be necessary. For now, Haiti's remaining forests with their diverse plant and animal life can be saved. The team will continue the research, trying to get complete knowledge about Haiti's wildlife and finding ways to eliminate the pressure on these natural treasures. Whether this effort will be ultimately successful depends on the people of Haiti.